Hello, how's it going, beautiful people? My name is Charisma, and this is the start of my travel vlog, the first video. And I want to talk about my experience on my trip. I went on my very first solo trip, and it was actually my very first time going to Miami as well. So it was my first solo trip to Miami, and everyone wasn't on board, but I think it's exactly what I needed, and I want to share that little experience with you. And this is just the beginning, the very beginning of a lot of traveling and a lot of adventure. So yes, I'm gonna just start, like, go through the whole entire trip and share everything that happened. So basically, I got dropped off to the airport, and then it was a very short flight because I'm from Jacksonville, and obviously Miami's really not that far. It was on like an hour and 20-minute flight. So I got on the flight, landed, and I was like lost. This is my first time traveling by myself. Like, I'm used to getting out of the house by myself, but like traveling to somewhere that you've never been, it's kind of like the energy in Miami is definitely is different than the energy in Jacksonville. Like, it's not as stagnant. It's way less stagnant in Miami than it is in Jacksonville. I love the energy more. Like, honestly, I wouldn't mind moving to Miami at all. And so I was like kind of lost. I'm like, I don't know. I was following my intuition. Wherever I was being pulled is where I went, and it did not lead me astray. I'm so glad I'm like listening to this pull. And I haven't eaten yet, so it's much clearer when I don't eat anything. And sorry if I keep looking off to the side. I just realized I keep doing that. Yeah, so I actually, there was this guy that I saw, and I looked over at him, and I'm like, whoa, he looks like my dad, low key. And then I walked up to him, because I'm like, literally, if I didn't walk up to him, I would have just been standing there. I would have just been standing there for a while. So I'm glad I approached him, and I'm like, wow, I was led right to this guy. And we start talking, and he says that he works on a cruise line. And I'm like, oh, I was just really thinking about working for a cruise. And we started talking, and he's like, oh, I'm just about to go to GameStop. Then I'm going to come back because I'm 8 hours early for my flight. So I'm like, oh, bet, can I just catch a ride with you so I don't have to pay, for a lift because I'm with you. And I'm like, honestly, I'm just going anywhere. Wherever you're going, shit, let's go. Because I didn't have to check into my Airbnb until 2 hours later. Or I had 2 hours until I had to check into my Airbnb. And they won't let you check in early. So I just got in the car with this guy, and the Uber driver did not speak English. So I didn't know that Miami had a lot of Cubans, which is very interesting. And a lot of the Uber drivers don't know English. But just to like, a thing that I'm gonna say, if you're gonna move to a country, even if it's a lot of like Cuban, I guess you feel like you have to learn English because there's a lot of Cubans in that area. But I personally, if you move to a different country, learn the language, okay? Yes. Yeah, so I called the guy, and we were just talking the whole ride. And they was like, yeah, if you want to apply for the cruise line, it's a great way to travel for free. You have a room, your rooming's paid for, your food, you get free food, and you get to like meet people from all over the world and travel for free. I'm like, it can't get better than that. That's a wonderful idea. And then I went my separate ways. He went to GameStop, and I just went to the Denny's across the street. Excuse me. And I just sat there for like a while, and I ended up falling asleep. And the people were like, after I was sitting for like 30 minutes, they woke me up at exactly a 222. I just think that's funny. But coincidence, they woke me up, and they were like, you gotta leave, because I wasn't paying for food. I was just not gonna eat yet. So I left, and I went just walking around until eventually I just had to catch a lift to my Airbnb, which was nice. I stayed in my little Airbnb, and it was a good solo trip. The first night I went to the super dope club called El Santo Don Diablo, which I'm pretty sure means the Saint, Mr. Saint Devil. Oh yeah, Saint Mr. Devil. Very interesting, because that is super interesting, because inside of the club, they had Jesus everywhere. And so I'm like, okay, that name is very interesting. It was super dope. I love that club. Like, that was my favorite spot. It's like a restaurant cafe at the front, and then they have like this giant thing. It just looks like it's like a book. Like, it looks like it's just like a bookshelf thing, but it opens up and you go into the club where the bar is at and stuff. It was super dope. I loved it. It was lit. Like, these Cuban clubs are just so lit. I prefer them over the American clubs because the music is just better. And honestly, I didn't even know what the fuck they were saying in the music because it was in Spanish. But y'all be lit. Like, I love the Spanish music. It'd be so lit. But yeah. And then I believe, and I just was like walking around. There was these nice Hispanic ladies who lived in the house. They didn't speak English. They were so nice though. I tried my best to communicate with them. We tried our best. And I got locked. Well, I went to the wrong room. I rented out a room. It was a whole house. It's like this family, they rent out rooms as Airbnbs, which is nice. I was in like room 6. I thought I was in room 5, which is why the key wasn't working, I guess. And then I had the Hispanic ladies, despite the language barrier, they caught on to what I was saying. They let me stay in the house until I could figure it out. And it turns out I was going to the wrong room. And then I figured out with the right room. And I was just relieved to get into my own space because that was the whole plan anyways. And it was nice. It's a nice little room. Airbnb. It was $33 a night. Super affordable. And I stayed 4 nights. It was nice. I kind of just walked around and went to I went to Cuban cuisine. And that was the most expensive meal I'd ever had. I've ever paid for. It was $50. Like, what? I mean, I'm not knocking the hustle, but damn. But I did get lamb. Lamb is just more expensive than any other type of meat in America. So, I mean, that's understandable. But it was just like one big lamb. It was like one big lamb leg. And then I got to choose 2 sides. I did the plantains, the fried plantains, and then the French fries. I thought I was gonna get way more plantains. They only gave me 3 of them. But you know, I'm like, for $50 though. But I did get a mango drink. The mango drink was $8, so the meal was like $39. It came up to like $50. But I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna start having to just eat empanadas. That's what I did. I just ate empanadas the rest of the time I stayed there. Actually, no, I did end up getting Arabic food when I walked. I think the next day, I didn't get to go to the beach because the Hispanic lady, I said playa. That's all I know. my un pico. I was like, playa? And she was just like, mañana. And I'm like, okay, like, when? And then she was like, 7. I'm like, okay, 7 a.m. in the morning. Get to go to the beach. Okay, that was pretty clear. And I walk in the building. I walk in there at like 7:04. I'm thinking, okay, yeah, they were on time. When she said 7, she meant it. So I'm like, oh, shoot. So I missed my chance to go to the beach, but it's okay. And I didn't want to go by myself because I don't know how Miami works. Like, I don't know how the beach is set up and how it works, if you pay for it or if it's free. I didn't know any of that. And so I just, I didn't go. And especially because that, second day, I think it was the 3rd day, I wanted to go. I caught myself walking to go get food. And I walked. It was a 30-minute walk, which is only a 6-minute drive, which is crazy, right? I had to walk 30 minutes, honestly, 35 minutes up to the store. I used my GPS thing, and I was connected to the Wi-Fi, and it only works when I'm connected to Wi-Fi. So I walked up there, and I passed this Arabic spot. I went to go get sushi. Because I wasn't about to pay for the Cuban food. Their food is amazing, but, it's pricey. It just adds up, you know? I'm not saying it's the price makes sense, especially because some of them were very fancy, places where the cuisine is, on point. But I'm like, money adds up. And I only went on this trip, y'all, with $200. So, yeah, that was smart, right? Now it's a lesson learned for me because now I know when I go on a trip, I need to have at least $1,000, period. I need to have at least $1,000 to spend on things. It really depends on where I'm going because I know certain places are more expensive. And I'm just finding out Orlando is actually less expensive than Miami. Who knew? But yeah, so I walked all the way up there. I went to Moshi Moshi to get sushi, and it wasn't even that great. All I had was the shrimp tempura, with cucumber, and the lady messed it up. She ended up putting avocado instead of cucumber, which changed the whole taste. And it just wasn't that good. It was like, I'm just gonna stick to Japanese people making the sushi, because it was just nothing but Cubans, obviously, working there. But the franchise, I'm pretty sure, was owned by some Japanese dude, because he would come in and out. But yeah, and then I was like, I passed this. I was so surprised, like pleasantly surprised. I was excited. I walked past. I didn't know there was an Arabic spot right there next to Moshi Moshi. And so I stopped to the Arabic spot, got me some Arabic food. I got like, they had like this giant beef rotating on the stalk. I got some of that with, they had like this rice, lentils, and caramelized onions mixed together. That was really good. I just mixed the beef with it. It was bussin'. Yeah, and I got that and my, my shrimp tempura. Went back to I actually got lost. When I tried to go back, I got lost. And there was this guy, like, he was offering to take me home or to take me back, and I'm like, and he's like, let me go get my car. And and I was waiting for him, because I was just lost. I was about to walk all the way back, circle back around, and I couldn't, and I had to rely on my memory. My memory just wasn't like, I'm like, shit, because my phone was not connected to Wi-Fi. You know, your maps won't work if you're not connected to a server. So I'm like, shit, I was fucked once I left the house, because once I entered that route at the restaurant, my phone, it was not connected to Wi-Fi. So yeah, it has to be, and these are small establishments. It only connects to like big, like McDonald's. It has to be like McDonald's, Starbucks, somewhere big like that, where they have the super solid Wi-Fi. And yeah, well, I wasn't connecting at all. And then something told me, and I was just like, should I go with this guy? Just ask myself internally. And I was just getting a no. So I'm just like, I'm going with that. I'm not second guessing it. I'm here by myself. I don't need no weird shit happening with some dude who I saw on the side of who offered me a ride. So I just left, and like, he did offer me, like, he stopped me and he was like, oh, yeah. Anyways, I'm like, deuces. It was a no. I'm gonna keep it moving. I grabbed myself and I walked all the way back. And then I was like, eventually I got lost. Like, I got lost again. I didn't know where the fuck I was going. Oh, they got some nice houses too in Miami. But anyways, I got lost. And then eventually I was walking around for like 20 minutes, 25 minutes, just lost as fuck. And I was just like waving people down, just not to get a fucking ride. Like, this lady was looking at me like she was scared. Like, lady, relax. I'm not trying to get in your car. I'm just trying to ask directions. Like, oh, excuse me. I was trying to get back to the main street, because I know and I was like, excuse me. I'm to the point where I can see the city, like the tall buildings and stuff. I'm like, okay, I'm like downtown. And I'm like, I'm far from where I was at, because from the Airbnb that I was staying in is far. You won't be able to see the city from there. So I'm like, shit, I'm far. Eventually, I'm like, I'm getting frustrated. Eventually, I waved down this man. He stopped. He tried to help me. He was like, you want me to just take you? I'm like, yes, thank you. Thank you. I got in the car, and I felt comfortable because I looked in the back seat. There was a car seat, and there was baby shoes all on the floor. So I'm like, okay, he's chill. He's cool. He has children. He's a father. You know. I felt safe. And he was a cool dude. We talked a little bit. We talked about like culture and foods. And he was just telling me stuff about his wife, and it was nice. He dropped me off within 5 minutes. And he was like, have a good day. And I was just happy to be home, to be back at my Airbnb. I went and I ate my food. And then the next day, the third day, by the time I got to the third day, I was kind of over it. Honestly, by the time I got to like the second day, because it's like, okay, there's not really much to do. And by the time the second day was like Saturday, Sunday was cool. But by the time I got Monday, and I left on a Wednesday. So by the time it got to Monday, I was kind of over it, because it's like, okay, it's the weekday, people have work. So it's not as like bustling as it was on Saturday. Saturday was fucking lit. And them women fine as fuck. I'm just saying. Cuban women. I just love women in general. They're so beautiful. But anyways, my mom's home. Well, she's pulling up. Anyways, yeah, so the third day I was just kind of like over it. I'm like, damn, I need something else to do. Like, I'm not trying to just walk somewhere and get lost. That's not what I'm trying to do. I guess I kind of stayed in my room that day, because that day was a rough day. I went on a solo trip because I was guided to go on a solo trip, and the third day was rough for me because I was crying. It was a lot of crying and releasing. It was like not just the, oh, I'm shedding tears. It was just like the snot, the tears just flowing all the way down here. That's the kind of cry it was. And it was like, it was a really loud cry to where like deep, like you could feel the sorrow that's being released from someone's soul. That's the kind of cry it was. It was like, I was a lot of like, yeah, like it was a lot, man. And then my chest was hurting. I cried for a good 15 minutes straight. Like it was a whole thing. And then I was just tired, and I just realized all the mommy issues that I had. No, I have a wonderful mother. It's just a deep wound that deals with the mother that's embedded in the bloodline. And I'm trying to clear all that shit off that shit. So yeah, I just went back in my room and laid down. I was just like laid down for the rest of the day. And the next day, I think that was the day before I left. Yeah, it was Tuesday. I was guided to go just to like soothe my inner child. I was guided to get some snacks. I got me some snacks. I went to this nice little market, and I got some empanadas. Again, after I spent $50 on that meal, all I ate was empanadas. After that, other than the Arabic food, and yeah, and it was I needed a lot of healing and releasing, and that was very healing and necessary for me to go on that trip. And I'm looking forward, like after I was in Miami, I'm like, okay, I want to go to my next place, but money. So, and then I just feel like it was all in alignment, and it's a wonderful experience when you actually, like, we know, okay, spirit works for you, spirit moves for you, but to actually experience it in real time is so surreal and so beautiful and amazing. And it's just, I love it. Like, and when I got to the Miami airport, to leave, and of course I was early, it was like an hour till we boarded. I've met this super nice lady, this nice little white lady who was sitting crisscross applesauce right across from me. Once I sat down, I'm like, okay, she's a vibe. She has a nice vibe. Once I sat down, she looked up at me and smiled. She's like, hello. And then, and then I was like, oh, hi. And I was like, I love your earrings. And she's like, thank you. I love your bag. And I'm like, okay, her vibe is nice. I like it. And then eventually we started talking, because something just told me to reach out to her and promote myself. So I did it. And I'm like, I know you like jewelry. If you want to follow me, I make all kinds of jewelry. And then she was like, yeah, she followed me. And I'm actually going to be making her a pair of earrings. She put in an order. So a moon and a star. So if any of you guys who sell crystals who have small ones that are like a star and a moon, let me know, because that's what she wants. Yeah. And we started talking, and like she's just telling me a little about her life. I was telling her a little about my life. And then they tell me that they just, guess what? Just guess. They tell me that they just got off of a cruise. Like, what? Like, when I first landed in Miami, I met a guy who works for a cruise. Now that I'm leaving, I'm meeting people who just got off of a cruise. And then she's like, you should totally go to Jamaica. I'm like, like, you're in my head. Like, I was literally just thinking about going to Jamaica. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, I feel like this is just alignment that's pushing me in this direction. And then now that I'm thinking about it, it just makes so much sense to work for a cruise. Like, you don't have to pay rent. You don't have to buy food. It's all free. And you get to travel the world for free. Like, I mean, it just makes sense. And I'm excited. And this lady, they gave me so much advice, so many pep talks. I think they were in like their mid to late 30s. And they both had 2 children. And they were just like getting away on a little vacation together. Yeah, and they had just got off of a cruise, and we were just talking about how capitalism and stuff, and how it's actually a better experience to fly on a plane, because you're flying right into like the center of everything, rather than going on a cruise, because it's just like buy this when you get to like the tourist area. I'm not a fan of the tourist spots personally, because it's just like I know they're trying to support their families and they got bills to pay, but it's just like capitalism ruins everything. I want to get down and gritty. I want to like meet the people, actually meet a family, actually communicate with them, talk with them, dance with them, learn the dances that they do, connect with the land with them, and like actually like see how they grow their plants, how they cook their food, cook with them, sit down and eat with them. Like that's what I want to do, and actually like just connect with them. That's what I want to do when I travel. I don't want to just, I'm gonna go spend money here. Like, I'm actually not even trying to spend that much money, to be honest. But it's I do love giving to where the people are. It's more creativity, and you actually get to buy things that was like handmade, that's extravagant as fuck. So yeah, it was a wonderful experience. A lot cried here and there, and lots of smiles, and it was just nice. I learned so much about myself. Like, I had to like pull my phone out and just write notes down, just paying attention to my body, being in my body, asking myself, okay, why am I this tense? Why am I feeling this way? And it all just came to me. And I'm like, wow. And I made like 4 different notes, I think 4 or 5 different notes on the whole trip. And I just learned a lot about myself. And it's learning me, and I was slowly learning how to actually be in tune with my intuition and how to actually properly follow my intuition. And it was just, it's lit. Like, I like the solo trip thing. But honestly, I think my next trip, I'm trying to go with my friends. Like, I want to turn up. Next one is not going to be so much about healing. It's going to just be the turn up. Okay? But healing is always in full effect. So just traveling in itself is just therapeutic and healing within itself. So if you're anyone who's thinking about solo travel, especially Black women specifically, go for it. Like, don't let nobody speak fear into you. And it's so funny, like when me and this lady were talking at the airport before I boarded, they weren't going to the same place as me. I didn't realize that until the last second. We were just sitting across from each other. We were just talking about, she's like, don't let anyone stop you. Just like, you're an adult now. And it's like, you have to get from under the people that are holding things over you. And so, yeah. And then it's just when we were talking about that, I get a call from my grandma again. She was so worried about me. She was like, just hurry up and get home. And it's just like, I love her. I know she cares for me. She just wants me to be safe. But it's like, at the same time, she was low-key projecting fears onto me. And I didn't like that. I just don't like that. I don't need that kind of energy in my life. I really don't. And then she's like, okay, I just want to make sure you got safe. And she's like, let this be a learning lesson for you. And da-da-da-da-da. And she was like, you think you're about to live this kind of life, but you're not. And I'm like, I was just like, yes. Got off the phone. But I'm like, well, who are you to say to me that I'm not going to be living a certain type of life, especially if I aspire and I put forth the work to do so? Like, what? Yeah, it's just the family dynamic is something we're working through. And it's just like, they love you and they care for you and they mean you well, but sometimes it can be suffocating, and they project all these fears and lack onto you. So yeah, but that was my trip, and I'm gonna be vlogging more. I'm gonna have more traveling vlogs when I travel more. And Miami is just like the tip of the iceberg, bro. I'm trying to go like all over the world. But yeah, I'm really trying to go with a friend next time, I think. Yeah. And I think I'm gonna make a video on, should I make a video on that? I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. But yeah, just so if you're interested in hearing more about my travels and my adventures, you can follow me, subscribe, support. And if you're interested in my jewelry that I got on, go ahead and support my business. Follow me on Instagram at luminescence_crafts. That's LUMINESCENCE_KRAFTS. Luminescence_crafts on Instagram. And then you can follow my personal pages. It's Pain Sauce, PANGSAUCE. That's where I do all my dancing, my cooking, my modeling, my rapping, singing, all the arts. I do everything. And on my business page, I started incorporating my dance performances onto with my jewelry, because dance is my first passion, and honestly I can just mix it all together. And I'm going to be dropping music soon, so stay tuned. And if you're interested in these nose chains, they're $25. I can customize them, of course, any color, of course. Made by me, necklace made by me. And this lovely bracelet I actually got from Miami. It was only $20. It's a snake. I fell in love with it. Gotta have it. Super dope. And I can make bracelets like these too. And yeah. So, and I also make headpieces, flower crowns. I make a lot of different things. If you're interested in more of my art, more of my creativity and expression, and travel and adventures, feel free to follow. Stay balanced. And stay blessed. And I'm out.